Fleeing Mortals and Where Evil Lives is on D&D Beyond? What does it mean? Is that Matt Colville working for D&D? Is Matt Colville taking over D&D? Hey everybody, Don Franco 3 here. I'm not sure if you saw the news online, but essentially Matt Colville's Flea Mortals and Where Evil Lives is now being sold on D&D Beyond. Today, we're going to speculate a little bit about what I think that means for D&D in the new editions that are coming out later this year and early next year. So I think the first thing I want to show you is what Matt Colville brings to the game of Dungeons and Dragons. In case you had never seen Flea Mortals before, here's just an example of looking at basic zombie stats versus a MCDM Flea Mortals stats for a zombie. Now you can immediately, just by looking at it, you have all the basic stats that you would find in a monster, armor class, hit points, all the 6 ability scores, as well as all the standard immunity stuff like that. But the one thing that really starts standing out about Matt Colville's Flea Mortals is you can see they give you more options. So if you look at down here what a zombie can do, we look and see an undead fortitude. Okay, that's pretty standard. And then the one attack it has is a slam attack. Okay. Now, if we compare that to the MCDM Flea Mortals, we can see that interestingly, they reduce the number of hit points, so they really allow you to chop those zombies down, make you look more heroic. But then if you start looking down here at these other abilities, you can see there's other things that these zombies can do or other abilities they have as zombie minions. There's a minion and an entire series of things that you can read here. There's also an overwhelm effect that happens if there's too many zombies. So right here at the bottom, they include Rise Again, which basically means if you kill them for the first time, they basically come back. They still have the standard slam attack here, and that's fine. But then you also notice that they only have 1 hit point. So this 1 hit point is pretty cool because then you can actually unleash a lot of zombies towards your player. So it really gives that what you kind of envision when you think about like The Walking Dead, on The Last of Us. But then let's look at just a couple more examples and looking at some of the more classic monsters such as the Goblin. So here we're looking at this Goblin. If we look at the armor class hit points and stuff like that, it's relatively the same as all the ability scores. So now if we look at the Goblin, it has a nimble escape for these extra abilities that it can do. It has 2 types of weapons, the scimitar or the short bow. One thing that immediately stands out about this minion, as you can see for other abilities that they have, the Goblin is crafty, it has a minion effect, and it does tiny stabs. And then in this case, it only has a dagger to attack. Now, I think the one thing that will impress you is if we look at the Goblin bosses in Dungeons and Dragons and compare them to the Goblin boss in this MCDM Flea Mortals, you can see again the ability scores are relatively the same. They do make the Goblin boss a little more dexterous, a little more hit points. But then the one thing that's really going to stand out is you can see that this Goblin boss has a lot more attacks that it can do. On top of that, it has bonus actions and a slightly changed reaction. So you can see they really spice up the monsters in the Flea Mortals. And if you look at it, they got 9 different types of goblins and 2 different kinds of mounts with them as well, all with different kinds of abilities. Okay, so based on what we've seen, Flea Mortals has a much better stat block, more versatility. You have that bonus action, you have a reaction, and it just has more options compared to the Dungeons and Dragons stat blocks. So why are MCDM products being sold on D&D Beyond? So today, RPG Boons speculatory speculations is I think this is telling us what's to come with the new Dungeons and Dragons in the end of 2024, as well as next year. That the stat blocks we're going to see in the monster manual, as well as other iterations of monsters they have in their future source books or modules or whatever they have, are going to resemble the Flea Mortals stat blocks. They're going to give those villains and monsters more versatility, more attacks, reactions, bonus actions, and they're really going to spice up the game, making it a little bit more exciting. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. Don Franco 3 here. This is RPG Boons, where we talk about everything RPG and how everything is RP. You're not convinced? Leave me a comment. It's a hunch. I think it's happening. We'll just have to wait and see. Flea Mortals and Where Evil Lives is on D&D Beyond?